Today on Toy Habits, we'll be taking a look at the one-man wrecking crew Roadblock. Heck, the fourth time's a charm to finally get the vintage design in the G.I. Joe Classified series, so we'll be taking a look at the inspiration for this figure and revealing his custom file card, so stay tuned. And before we get into the review, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted to the latest reviews, news, and episodes when they drop. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and today we are taking a detailed look at the fourth iteration of Roadblock in the G.I. Joe Classified series, comparing him to his vintage and 25th anniversary figures, and revealing his custom file cards, so let's get right to it. And let's start off like we usually do by looking at the box, and Heavy Artillery Roadblock, aka the only Roadblock that should ever have been made, comes in the G.I. Joe Classified window display box where you can see all of the accessories he comes with. And zeroing in on the art on the front of the box, you see Roadblock wielding that insanely huge Gatling gun that comes with Breaker in the Ram Cycle, and you can imagine him ripping it off and just firing round after round after round and creating some huge devastation with that thing. And he's got a really cool look on his face. You can see all the strain in his face, and you can also see some of the muscular detail from wielding that gun, and he just looks super cool. And looking at the art on the side of the box, you see a close-up picture of Roadblock's face as well as his helmet, which is a very cool illustration. It almost looks very lifelike the way that they've illustrated Roadblock here, and you can see a lot of the frown detail in his eyebrows here, and you can see a lot of the cheek detail from him gritting his teeth wielding that Gatling gun. And some of the other cool parts that you can see, his strap detail coming down from his helmet, and you can also see part of the Gatling gun. And parts of my favorite aspects of these boxes are when the art bleeds over to the side of the box and you can see some of the art on the front bleeding over to the side. But that said, I really wish that they would have done a different illustration of Roadblock here, because it looks like they just reused the illustration on the front. And looking at the back of the box, we see the older version of Roadblock here right dead center in the illustration here, and I wish that they would actually change this entire illustration when they add new figures, just to make it a little bit more interesting and a lot more cooler to look at. And once again, we've partnered with the talented digital artist Gerald of Digiphics to create a custom file card for Roadblock, and this version is a mashup of his current G.I. Joe Classified series abilities and his vintage file card information, which is a great way to pay homage to the newer sculpts that harken back to the vintage designs. Now, this file card is located in the description below as a free download, so please sub the channel if you'll be collecting this or future cards so you can stay up to date with the latest file card drops. Now, taking a closer look at Roadblock's abilities, he's a level 4 Vanguard, meaning he takes the forward positions in battle. He's a level 3 at wielding heavy weapons. He's a level 4 Strength and is a level 4 at operating heavy artillery. Now, in my opinion, I think he should have been given level 4s across the board, especially in wielding heavy weapons, and that's the bottom line because Toy Habits said so. And if you're watching this video, you are probably aware that this is the fourth iteration of Roadblock, so I'm going to do my due diligence just letting you know all of the versions that exist. So we have the original V1 Roadblock, we have Mulligan Roadblock, which is the redeco. We have a version of Roadblock that looks nothing like Roadblock, so I just call him Heavy Duty. And finally, we have our vintage-inspired Roadblock, which we are going to take a look at in detail today. And now that Roadblock's out of the box, we can first take a look at his head sculpt. So let's first take a look at the helmet, because this is the way that the figure was packed in. And what I typically do is I save the accessories for later, and if they come with a helmet, I will just review those first. So let's get down to it. And this helmet design is absolutely stunning. I'm not sure what the significance is of this sculpting or plating that is on the front there, but it looks amazing. You can see that it has some rivets that are attaching it here, and just the overall helmet design is really, really cool. The way it's shaped is amazing, and I love the plating detail that they've given it here, and also some of the pitting and the lines that they have on the side. And you can also see from the back the straps that are also connected to the helmet here, so it just gives a lot of depth and dimension to this really tiny accessory that really makes Roadblock stand apart from the rest of the figures in the line. And some of my other favorite parts on this helmet are the stitching detail that you'll find in the front, and you'll also find similar plating on the sides here. And if you pick this up in the light, you can see some texturing detail on the side of the helmet as well. Now this light box can create some shadows, so I'm just going to move and tilt Roadblock to the side here and just show you some of the strap detail that you'll find on the helmet as well. And you can see the longer strap dangling down by his cheek. And once the helmet's off, we can take a detailed look at his actual head sculpt, and this is one of my favorite head sculpts of Roadblock that they have made to date. He has given a really strong jawline, and just the lifelike facial features on this figure are really stunning. For example, you can see a lot of the cheekbone detail here, and you can see some of the flesh that's protruding from his face. I love the little soul patch that they gave him here, and I love the mustache, but I wish the mustache was just darkened a little bit more because it looks like it's too flesh toned and it just blends in with his facial sculpt. But that said, I do love the divot here that they've put underneath his mouth, and I do love the strong lines that they've put on the side of his nose, and also the protruding flesh and bone that you can see popping through his eyebrows here, just giving him a really amazing look. And moving down to Roadblock's torso, we first take a look at his suspender-like straps that he has with the couple pouches that are on his chest there. I think these are 2 smoke grenades that he's also carrying, and if you turn him around to the back, you can see some of the other detail that they've given on these straps. There's a hole that lines up with the hole on his back for any backpack to fit into, and you can also see the detail that they have on the back here, which kind of looks like alligator and crocodile texturing, but do I dare say it? They put a fanny pack on Roadblock's fanny. Funny that. So very cool straps, and you can also see the clip detail here and some of the strap detail, and really amazing piece. You can actually move it and take it off if you would like, but I'm not going to be taking this one off of him. Now, Roadblock is just given a basic camo shirt, but some of the things that I really love about it are the fold detail that they've put in here, and you can also see some of his muscles, and you can just see his chest ripping through that shirt like Hulk Hogan. And if you turn him around to the back, you can also see some other fold detail here along with the camo, and there's also some texturing that you'll notice on the camo itself. It's kind of really faint, but you can see some of the splotches of color as well as some other kinds of textures that are running through that shirt. And taking a closer look at Roadblock's arms, they are symmetrical, meaning they are the same on both sides. But let's take a look at each one of them in detail here. Now, Roadblock's arm finally doesn't have a lion tattooed on it. He must have gone to the G.I. Joe laser removal clinic and had that removed. So I don't know if that was just a miss on their part or if they just wanted to make this really vintage inspired and just not include that particular piece on here. So you can also see he is given the typical Roadblock jacked arms that have the vein detail and also the muscle detail that you can see in the forearm here. And moving down to Roadblock's waist and legs, they've given a very nice brown and orange paint app to his clothing here. And it's basically the same leg sculpt and thigh sculpt and knee sculpt as the other Roadblocks. But he was given this really cool holster here, and it almost looks bulletproof the way that it was designed. It's really, really cool, and it's got some really nice detail here. It's a lot bigger and thicker than I've seen other holsters in the line, but that's probably because he is going to be wielding a very large pistol. And his shin armor and boots are the same as all of the other Roadblock figures, but I turned up the contrast on the video camera just to show you that his shin armor is an olive green color, which is very hard to pick up, but hopefully you can see it here contrasted with the black straps and also the black shoe detail here. So I think it's a very cool way to tie in his huge Gatling gun to his shin armor there. Now, Roadblock comes with a lot of accessories, some big, some small, so let's first take a look at his smaller pistol, which looks to me like a European American Armory Witness Hunter 10mm handgun that can carry about 15 rounds in the clip, although the design is very similar to that gun. The muzzle on this gun is a little bit more pronounced, but the overall shape and the long barrel really make me think of that particular firearm. You can also see that there's a clip on the bottom here, but the way that the muzzle looks and how large it is, I'm guessing he's toting 45 caliber bullets in this thing. And next, let's take a look at his rather large Gatling gun, and this Gatling gun is what you'll find on the Breaker and the Ram cycle. So Roadblock is pretty jacked, so he can handle this thing pretty well, but for how intricate these small weapons are, they really left a lot of details out of this particular Gatling gun. In my opinion, it's pretty basic, and it does have some small paint app that you can see here, and you can see that some of my paint has some overspray on it, and just the attention to detail on here and quality control is just not very great. There's some chips in the plastic and just some extra plastic that you'll just see left over from the molding process, and you will find a painted black handle, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty much a basic olive green Gatling gun, and it does come with a rather large drum that you can place underneath it, so that really completes the look of this gun. And here is Roadblock all geared up with pistol in holster and Gatling gun in hand, and he is ready to blow away anything that comes in his path. And on to my favorite part of these reviews, the vintage figure and 25th anniversary figure comparisons with the G.I. Joe Classified Series Roadblock. And let's first take a look at yoink, his vintage figure comparison. So let's zero in on the details here. And from what I can see, this Roadblock figure is pretty much a direct translation with his vintage figure from 1984. So there are a lot of parts that are shared and are vintage inspired with the Classified Series Roadblock. So let's take a closer look at those details. And let's first start off with the helmet design, and the helmets are very similar in shape, and they do have some details here that are shared between each other. For example, the little notch cutouts here that they have sculpted onto the vintage figure also appear in the more updated helmet design in the classified version of Roadblock. And moving down to the torsos, you can also see that they share the same straps and also the same shirt, although the vintage figure has a more lower cut tank top, which kind of shows off his chest a little more. And I do like the fact that they have raised the tank top here, because I'm not sure if I wanted to see a really large version of Roadblock's chest in the Classified series. And the last thing that I'm going to comment on is the leg sculpts. And as you can see, they have incorporated the pistol holster and the pistol from the vintage figure here. So you can see that it is sculpted on the vintage figure, and they gave Roadblock a very nice large pistol and a very nice holster to complement the vintage figure design. The only thing that they did leave out was the knife that is sculpted onto the vintage Roadblock, and I actually really wish that they would have incorporated some form of a knife just to give him some little extra panache in the design. So I think that would have been a great detail to add to the classified version of Roadblock. And bringing in the 25th anniversary edition of Roadblock, you can see that the design of the classified figure is very heavily inspired by the 25th anniversary series version. And I do like the way that they've directly translated the helmet, the tank top, and also the brown pants that they've given him in both designs. And you can also see in the window display here that Roadblock also has a very large holster on his side as well. So you can see some of the differences. For example, they gave Roadblock's green glove versus black gloves, and I really think I do like the black gloves version better. It just ties in with the shoe and the strap detail to just kind of tie everything together. But very similar designs, and you can almost see that this 25th anniversary version is a mini G.I. Joe classified figure. And now that this review is under wraps and in the can, I hope you can see that this particular version of Roadblock stands literally head and shoulders above the rest. And we really only needed two versions of Roadblock, as we now have his version 1 and its version 2 release. We don't need any other releases of Roadblock, Hasbro, so please make a note. I was so excited to see a vintage-inspired Roadblock make it into the G.I. Joe Classified series, and I think they nailed this version. It has just the right amount of detail, and packing him with a more military-style Gatling gun plays very well with this figure. Also, don't forget to download your free custom file card that's located in the description below, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with the latest reviews and custom file card drops.